Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to cover Submission Underground 10, Gordon Ryan versus Gonzaga, and Gilbert Burns versus Craig Jones. We are also going to talk about the top 10 matches of the year for 2019 for professional grappling. We're also going to talk about the biggest upsets of the year, grapplers to watch out for, and basically just do a giant recap show for 2019. As always on the show,
Maine, you're forgetting Rewind Recommends as well.
And do Rewind Recommends for the year. Thank you, Emil, for keeping the list together, because nobody else in 2019 on the team kept a list. So as always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, with my co-host,
Emil.
And my other co-host,
Austin.
How you guys doing today?
I'm doing
good,
awesome, man.
We were doing a pre-show, and we were all really pumped up talking about all the matches, and I'm super excited for this show. It's gonna be the 2019 show. The recap show for the year is always a ton of fun, and it's always great to remember what has happened. You're like, oh, that match was this year, and there was making the list every year is more and more fun because we get more familiar with all the grapplers and all the storylines, and just we remember that this is coming up earlier and earlier in the year and make a list. So before we get into that, let's talk about a little bit of news. Tap Cancer Out donated $870,000 to Alex's Lemonade Stand. That is a gigantic donation. I've been running more and more tournaments. Have you guys have either of you done one?
I did one. It was awesome. The support that they show too, before the tournament runs, two of the guys who, I think it's the founder, who's a black belt, and then I think he brings another guy along with him who's either a blue or a purple belt. I can't remember. Sorry if I'm messing that up and you're a secret brown or black belt. But they come and they'll roll at the gyms that are showing them the most love. So they came into our gym, did a little mini seminar, rolled with us, got to know them. So they're really good people, and then also a really good cause, obviously.
Yeah, they're really nice guys. I did an interview with them probably 4 or 5 months ago when they were going to run their super fights, talking about their super fights and their format, and basically giving a rundown to all of their viewers on their Instagram with what it was. And it was a really cool interview. Super great guys. So awesome to see them basically giving $870,000 to a really good charity. In other news, Mateus Lutez got his black belt. Emil, you're probably pretty happy about that.
My boy, yeah. I'm excited to see him actually competing up at the black belt level now too. So we'll see.
Because we've seen him on Spider against black belts, and it's oh, you're black belt level right now. So yeah, now he's officially a black belt. We can see him in all the black belt divisions and how he competes on the world stage. So that's super exciting. We actually commentated one of his matches. Was that 2017 or 2018?
That's a good question. I think 2018.
2018. We commentated one of his matches at SAGC.
Yeah, versus
and we were
Andrew Cockle. Yeah,
this dude is amazing.
Yeah, he was super fucking entertaining. So
yeah. And so it's awesome to see him finally get promoted to black belt by Marcelo, and looking forward to him in 2019. Other news: Guy Mendes became a U.S. citizen.
Hell yeah! All right.
We've been doing more and more grapplers become U.S. citizens in news, because I think it's a big deal. And he had a really nice post about him coming to the U.S. and what the U.S. has allowed him to do. And it was really a great moment. I thought it was it was newsworthy. In other news, Maggie Grandotti received her black belt from Cyborg.
Saw that? Yeah, awesome.
Again, another top level woman. Super excited to see what she's going to do with the black belt stage.
We cover her a lot. So
yeah, she's one of definitely the upcoming women in the world, so it's really, I'm excited to see. I think she won Nogi World. I think she's won Nogi Worlds at every belt level. I think she's won Worlds at every belt level. So this was a long time coming. It was one of the forecasted promotions, so it'll be cool to see how she does at the black belt level. In other news, Victor Hugo versus Nicholas Margali has been announced as the super fight matchup for the Flow Grappling's Who is Number One.
Yo, that is, man. Matchmaking is a funny thing, because right now I see Margali just wrecking that.
Yeah,
I see that as a non-competitive
I can
match.
see on paper why they think that matchup would be really good. It's he just won Nogi Worlds and beat Cyborg, and then Margali's won pretty much everything in the gi that there is to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
he's submitted his way through everything.
Right. That's the impressive part.
It's an exciting matchup. I think that is a tough matchup for Victor Hugo.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a gi match, I'm assuming.
We've never seen Margali in a no-gi match.
Right.
And I think Margali was planning on doing ADCC in 2021.
Right.
Is what we've heard.
Right.
But I assume it's in the gi. I assume this is not Nicholas Margali's first no-gi match. I assume it's in the gi.
Yeah. So I definitely see Nicholas Marigali as number one, no question. So
It's a tough matchup. But again, we saw Victor Hugo, 2 matches to Cyborg and IBJJF, and like not be able to get the win, and all of a sudden like the finals at the Absolute figures it out and goes, oh, knee wash him.
Right.
So he can make adjustments, but Margali's a tough dude to make adjustments against. In other news, I did an interview with the BJJ Brick podcast, and that just came out today.
Hell
so
yeah.
it's basically
Nice.
an hour of me doing kind of a different recap of the world of like what happened in the world of 2019 for jiu-jitsu. Really cool interview. I just basically finished listening to it before this recording. I'm pretty happy with it. If you want to hear me talk kind of like what we're gonna do for this show, but like a little different flavor because it's more of an interview format. It's over on the BJJ Brick podcast page. Find it there, and hear me talk. Even more. In other news, this really weird shift. I was trying to put this in a different place in news. Cyborg is scheduled to have open heart surgery in 2020.
wait, what?
Did you not see this?
No.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it got announced, I think, like a couple days ago that he's going to need basically open heart surgery in 2020.
God
which
damn,
sucks.
dude.
So I hope, wish him the best.
Yeah.
Speedy recovery to him, man. I love watching him compete.
Yeah, dude's been around been a black belt forever and,
Yeah.
competes on the world stage at every major. And so it's like, best of wishes to him. Hope everything goes well and that he turns out great. What a downer way to end the news section for the 2019.
Yeah, man. Damn.
All right. You guys, anything else in news?
I can't think of anything.
Nope, nothing.
All right, let's move on. So, we'll do a recap of Submission Underground 10. We're going to talk about 2 matches on this card. We're going to talk about Craig Jones versus Gilbert Burns, and we're going to talk about Gordon Ryan versus Gabriel Gonzaga.
If you were completely blindfolded and fucking unaware of this event at all, you probably could have picked the results.
God
Yeah.
damn, Emil.
Nah, dude,
Tell him
come
how
on.
you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like Gordon Ryan versus Guy, Craig Jones versus Guy. If you picked heel hooks, guess what? You're right.
you won. Gordon Ryan did the same entry that Craig Jones uses, that roll through under to the inside Senkaku, and then gets the heel hook. Gonzaga does the correct roll, and then the fence gets in the way, and he has to tap. And then Craig Jones, a little bit longer of a match, gets to Reno's leg, gets the heel hook, and finishes a heel hook.
Yeah, that's pretty much the tail of it. There's really not a whole lot of technical stuff. We rewatched it right before in the pre-show, and I was like, oh, let me see the entry, and then it was like, this is exactly the entry.
He always uses.
Yeah, he tried to do that Sumagaeshi, where he arm drags to the wrong, falls to the wrong side of his
on
arm.
Gonzaga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Falls to the wrong side, and then Gonzaga postures. He's like, okay, cool, I'll just invert. You gave me enough space, and that's what sets up the heel hook. So it's nothing that you've never seen before.
It's literally the thing you've seen before that both
Yep.
these guys are super famous for, and then guys at the super high level have kind of figured it out and shut it down a little bit, and they were just able to implement the game and
Right.
get it done. Do you have anything else on this?
Nope.
That's pretty much it.
All right, let's move on to the Baller Ass 2019 recap. So moving on to the 2019 recap, where do you guys want to start with this? We have so much to talk about in this segment. Where do you want to start for what we should talk about?
I think what we did last time makes sense, which is talk about the big moments in the community overall. It's nice to sit back, look at those things, talk about why they're important, what's happened, who the big, what the big accomplishments are, who the big athletes are, and stuff like that. And then, we have our top 10 matches. We have our top upsets, and then we have the rewind recommends, which are just exciting ass matches. So I think let's do it. Let's
So
get into it, man.
do either of you guys have a top moment of the year, or do you want to talk about it at the end? I don't have. I have a couple that could maybe be in contention. I'm just wondering if you guys have a single one, and then we can either talk about it now or talk about it at the end of this segment.
I can't think of something bigger than Lachlan Giles' run at ADCC.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
If there's a
that's kinda
top
mine, too.
moment, that has to be it.
Yeah.
So okay, let's talk about the moments of the year. Let's talk about the top one. That's kind of all of our top one is Lachlan Giles' heel hook of Kanan Duarte at the 2019 ADCC World Championships in the Absolute Division. Lachlan Giles gets knocked out his first round at under 77 kilograms by Lucas Lepre, and everyone's like, okay, Lepre's really good. That makes sense. Oh shit, he signed up for Absolute too. Oh my God, they gave him the plus 99 kilogram champion,
So
Kanan Duarte.
That means that that means Lachlan was probably the bottom seed.
Bottom seed
Kainan
or
was
second to bottom seed. Yeah.
I think Kainan must have been top seed. I mean,
He has to.
He was plus 99 kilogram champion going into that, so he was probably number one. And because they had Buchecha in there, they had Gordon Ryan, but the plus 99 kilogram champ is the heaviest.
He's the dude
one.
to beat.
He's the dude to beat. And so Lachlan was probably bottom, is my guess. So even him just winning that single match, let alone all the matches after that, is just a huge moment. The size disparities were just so unbelievable. The crowd energy during those wins, and we can talk about that match.
Yeah, we're getting into like matches of the
later.
year, so I think that's a good place. Other moments of the year. What else? I have a whole list of stuff. Do you want to go to the next one?
Dude, I don't know if this is in order, but certainly the Spider payout was fucking huge.
$250,000. You paid out 2 grapplers $100,000.
Yeah.
That's the biggest payout in the history of the sport ever.
Yeah, for an
that we
individual,
ever disclosed. And I can't think of an undisclosed purse that would be. I think it was rumored that the ACBJJ contracts could be up to $100,000, but I think that was over the course of a couple events. So a single payout of $100,000 is absurd, and so that's awesome for the sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else we got? IBJJF Worlds paid out this year too. Again, it's $5,000 bucks.
Yeah.
I think is what they paid out to the champions, because every division, it was up to $7,000 for the men's divisions, but all the men's division had to be above 32 or 33 grapplers. I don't think any grappler,
I don't think any of them were.
any division was. I think there was one that was like 31 people, and but $5,000 is more than they were paying out last year, and so at least it gives you some monetary value.
Right.
Emil's coming here messing with the mouse, and I've lost the mouse on all the screens we have. It gives us some monetary value to like do that championship accomplishment, which is good. It's a step in the right direction, and I think it's definitely worth noting for like big moments of the year. We also have, let's see, what else? Oh yeah, we have a bunch of MMA grapplers coming back into jiu-jitsu.
Oh god, yeah, right. Like we've seen Dorino a bunch lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ranked in the UFC, and we saw him this weekend.
Yep.
Like ranked in the UFC, still taking super fight matches against top guys.
Yep. Hodolfo came back.
Rodolfo came back.
Gary Tonin came back.
AJ Agazarm came back. Arif Rios takes matches still.
Yeah. Jake
Shields
Shields is kind of like only doing grappling now.
Yeah, Jake Shields almost retired from MMA.
I think
and
this is tied into what we just talked about with the past two, which is just payouts are starting to increase. It's starting to be lucrative enough in grappling that we're getting these MMA people to come back and only do grappling. That can only be good for the sport. I think 2019 has been a turning point for professional jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. We've seen more payouts this year than any other year. Like we have a bunch of promotions that we now know, and we've heard, and we've gotten a little more in the community. We now have heard a little more of the payout structure, and it's like guys are actually can potentially start making a living, maybe not this year, but in the next couple years, if things kind of continue to progress where they are, being a professional competitor, not necessarily having to run a gym, having to run instructionals, they still have those options for the seminars and stuff, but if you want to be a person that just makes your living off competition, we are moving towards that being a more viable option for the top guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but now we're starting to see MMA guys come back over, because previously, we'd always lost guys to MMA, where it's like, okay, you do this, then I'm going to go be a fighter because I can make money being a fighter. I can't make money being a jiu-jitsu guy. Now you kind of can if you're the top guy, so that's really cool. I think we'll still continue to see and lose those guys to MMA, for the next generation or so, but it moves it towards being a full-time sport for these guys where you can make a professional career winning events alone.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really huge.
Dude, how about next up, Tyra Tolo, and in general, teenagers making their names on the professional circuit.
Dude,
For sure.
Masters, here I come. I can't wait to age into Masters and get away from all the young killers. Oh, you've been jiu-jitsu since you were 4. Oh, 3? Oh, you have a brother that's also really dope at jiu-jitsu. Oh, you're beating black belts?
Yeah.
So cool, you've beaten Wagner Hosha before I even made it to black belt as a 30-something-year-old.
Right.
What chance do I have against you in an adult division?
Right.
Oh, you're throwing jumping darces.
Before you had a driver's license, you're fighting black belt world champions and potentially winning.
Yeah.
It's so nuts.
Dude, Tyra Tolo having a fucking fire match with Meow at ADCC.
He destroyed Meow's leg, and Meow was like,
Nah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
There's that famous, 18 famous pictures from different angles of Ty out extending the leg. And he gave a really cool interview with him and his brother on the Matt Burn podcast talking about that. Basically, it popped a lot. He just didn't tap. And it was so cool to hear both of them, in a little more long-form interview, talk about the year, talk about the experience. And, if you are a fan of pro grappling, listen to that interview with those two guys, because it's super insightful, very interesting. And they basically talk about kind of the balance of their life and, how it's changed. It's a really cool interview. And Dude, teenagers are
Yeah,
ridiculous.
him,
Yeah.
fucking Nikki Ryan.
Grace Gundrum.
Grace
Yeah.
Gundrum getting brown belt this year.
Yeah.
Both the Tackett brothers.
Yeah,
like
the
Montero-
Tackets.
Tackett
Yeah, I
brothers.
forgot
Right?
about the Tackets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, William Tackett
Yep.
went and beat the entire Team Israel, and they'd been like a quintet style event for the USA, and like only he had to go. He beat everyone, and you're like,
Right.
that's how good that guy is. And he's been on all these super fights now, and he's a dude that exploded onto the scene this year. Like we'd heard a little bit about him last year, but I think that in the last like 6 or 8 months, like he was a guy that I would not have been surprised to see get an ADCC invite with like how active he was. And again, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him in the trials in like, what are we, 8 months from the trials or 9 months from the trials now?
Yeah, that makes
I think
sense.
trials are like,
Well, I know West Coast trials happen around now, so
I know there's trials are about a year apart, and the East Coast trials from the time ADCC runs in September, I think they're September is the East Coast trials because they're
Yeah.
literally about a year from the
because
event.
West Coast are in January.
West Coast,
or
I
they
think-
were in January.
Are West Coast trials the last trials, or is the Oceanic trials after?
I think Oceanic is after.
Okay,
Yeah.
Oceanic is the last trials, and then East Coast trials is the first trials.
So yeah, we're probably about 9 months out.
Which is crazy. Like we're already in the cycle again, and I'm getting amped already. So it'll be good. So yeah, teenagers being crazy good in 2019. I have ADCC on my moments of the year.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think professionally for the podcast and personally, it was a huge moment for me to do all those interviews, to be backstage, to get actually legitimate credentialed to cover professional jiu-jitsu. We got some really great interviews, and I think it did a lot for the show on a show level, and it also did a lot for realizing that we can produce at the biggest event in the world, we can produce good content and we can ask good questions. And we've gotten a ton of feedback from our interviews. I had somebody this week recognize me from an interview I did. He's like, hey, did you interview Gordon Ryan? I was like, yes, I did that. They were like, oh, I saw the interview. I was like,
That's really awesome.
oh, I'm just like a regular coach at a gym to you, and you don't know like all this other stuff we do outside the gym, and you recognize like, are you that guy that interviewed? That's me. Like that happened this week. Like,
yeah.
That's really, really cool. So,
ADCC was colossal, yeah, in terms of connections that we made with the community
Yeah.
as well. Really getting to connect with a lot of the other people in the media and jiu-jitsu media as well, and other coaches and other things like that.
yeah,
Like,
so
it was pretty
professionally
amazing.
and personally, it was really great, as well as it was the greatest grappling event that's ever been
Yeah,
done.
and then Fight to Win taking over the production value really changed a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, so
that was really dope.
here are the metrics for that, right? Like they had the largest attendance really
Yep.
of any grappling event. B, it was so successful that ADCC decided to, in an unprecedented decision, make the next one also in the United States.
And-
Usually they rotate countries.
and the same promoters.
The same
So they never
promoters.
had the same place twice. Or they not never have. Like in the modern
Consecutive.
ADCC era, they've never had it in the same place twice
consecutively.
and they've never had it with the same promoter twice consecutively.
Well, I don't think they've ever had it with the same promoter.
So like for Mo to get it relatively quickly again is a testament to this was sports.
This was
changing.
special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these guys have ADCC. It's pretty much known for its hallmark of like very minimal changes from event to event, and for them to have the system of like the next guy gets it, next guy gets it, next guy gets it, new place for them to go. You know what? We'll give you the next one, and you can do it in the U.S. That kind of speaks to how much weight and how good that event was.
Yeah,
Yep.
the energy was absolutely amazing. So it's great to see them continue with that.
So speaking of Fight to Win and those guys, they ran their 100th event this year.
Yeah,
That's dope.
Yeah.
100 super fight events, and they're still running. Like they are.
and they've had 35 since.
I think they're at 135. 134, 135 was the last one we covered.
I think they're what everybody imagines if there was like, I know the IBJJF obviously has like the prestige of titles, but Fight to Win kind of is what for no-gi, entertainment value, production value, to me, is the closest thing to like a sports team kind of season
A
vibe.
league.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. Like I want to.
Yeah.
A league.
I would love to do some more stuff in 2020 with like their rankings and their guy. Because like if you actually watch, there is a system for getting a title shot at Fight to Win. You have to accrue a certain amount of points. You have to be this active. You have to do. There's like some legitimate criteria for who is selected for title shots in Fight to Win, and they have kind of on the back end. I don't think it gets talked about a ton. Created a league system for getting a title shot on Fight to Win. You didn't have like a world accolade, like be a champion or or have like win one of the majors. Or have accrued enough points to earn yourself a title shot. And if you look at all their champions, like they're all legit
They're all
dudes
big
with
names, for
accolades.
sure.
And then you see guys go and win a fight to win title, and then they can stomp other guys. And then you see a guy that's killing it on the scene come and win a fight to win title. Like, there's no scrubs that have fight to win titles.
We are starting to see, like world champion level people, not just obtaining the belts at fight to win, but having to defend against other world champion.
We talked about
people.
with the heavyweight belt with Spriggs and Erberth and
almost Mergali.
Duarte
Yep.
and Gutenberg.
Yep.
Like, we have these guys, and I can basically map out the lineage of the fight to win heavyweight title, and I could do that with other titles as well. If you look like, oh, this guy had it, then he won, then he took it here, and oh, he lost the title. This guy, he went up a weight class. Like, there's a real storyline being created there. So fight to win having the longevity to create 100 events and have their 100th event in 2019, and then have 30 more events in this year. I mean, that the 100th event is earlier in the year.
Yeah.
You know, so that I think that is a huge milestone for professional jiu-jitsu, that these guys can get it right enough to run 100 consecutive events in the period, and then continue to run events. And I think that is a smaller milestone, as a larger milestone. I think it's given credit for, because no other promotion is putting on 40 events a year professionally. It's broadcast level with commentary, with titles, and a system for belts. Like, that's a really big deal.
Yeah. Moving to athletes and huge accolades, I want to talk about Gabby Garcia winning her 4th ADCC division, which is a world record for
the most divisional win. That's most divisional gold medal wins of any athlete in ADCC history.
Yep. That's huge. It was
crazy.
A huge moment. She had a really touching, victory speech where, anyone listening and watching should have become instant fans of her, because she's just, incredible.
She's like one of the nicest people I talked to at ADCC.
Yeah.
I did an interview with her, and like, again, I'm trying to do it like backstage, and she's like way taller than me, and she's like the most sweet person, pleasant, like did like almost basically 2 interviews with me. It was amazing to see her like get that 4th title and like give that big speech to the arena. Was like, man, she's a really nice lady.
And like, apparently too, like not having lost a step, like I could see her winning in 2 years,
Yeah.
There's no question about that. And actually she's been doing MMA. She's another, we forgot to mention, she's another MMA fighter who's been
she stepped back in a little bit this year. We saw her on Fight to Win, I think once or twice. We saw her in ADCC, and again, another person that has kind of went over to MMA, went over to Ryzen, and then took some fights, and then came back. And I think that there's got to be some monetary incentive for people to come back, because we're seeing enough people come back now where it's like, you're not going to pull Gabby Garcia away unless there's a good reason.
But she's hell-bent on cementing her legacy in grappling, and there's no question about it,
Yeah, super dominant ADCC, like 4. Getting 4 in your plus 99, plus 66 kilogram division for the women is like unprecedented. So that's amazing.
Other athletes, huge accolades. Mikey Musumeci, 3rd IBJJF gold
in a row at the black belt.
Like, and at Rooster.
At Rooster weight. So a division below. He's the only American to have won twice in a row. Better yet, 3 times in a row. And then he's only the American to win 2 divisions and run them consecutively.
And fucking beat Bruno Malfacine.
Beat the dude at Rooster weight.
Yeah. Just fucking colossal.
I wish we had like more on this. We were just like, it's really like all we have is like, it's really, really
Well, we're going to
impressive.
get into the Bruno Malfacine match later.
Okay.
So
yeah, but that was just a huge moment. I mean, it's getting to the point now where we're starting to see, U.S. athletes now consistently competing on that level. Whereas before it was like,
It was a Brazilian show, baby.
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, with like up until a couple years ago, it was just there was
Drysdale,
Penn,
Lovato,
yep,
and who am I missing?
Yeah, there was a 4th.
Oh no,
that you said.
I don't have the list in front of me right now. I'm like, oh no, I forgot who's on the list.
Yeah.
Lovato, okay, there's additional Americans, but very few Americans in the grand scheme of things. Somebody's gonna be very upset with us that we forgot them in the modern era.
Yeah. So huge for Mikey, and he's just I love hearing him talk about like his mentality in game and training and all that.
Yeah, he's a super like well-spoken guy too. His sister's going to law school. He's going to get a business degree, I think, which is crazy. On top of like doing world championship level jiu-jitsu at the highest level.
Yeah,
For sure.
So what else we got? Any other moments of the year?
I think those are the main ones that I can think of.
All right. So we're gonna move on to next. We're gonna move on to.
Let's do top 10 matches.
So every year, I love the top 10 matches of the year. Every year, we get together as a team and go, hey, everyone submit your matches that you're thinking about. And we did it, and Austin basically came in, like just was like, here is my list, and then everyone kind of went. That's the list. That's the list we have. Like that's the list of like I think I had like one or two matches that were like maybe, and then I saw Austin's list. I was like, I have my list, and it's all the matches that Austin already said. So Grappling Rewind's 2019 matches of the year as curated by Austin Jones. What do you want to start? You want to do individually and talk about each one of them? So these are always in no particular order because
let's just go with whatever's on here.
Yeah, so
I don't
these
think we
are
need to go in any order.
These are in no order. These are just the top 10 matches of the year. We're gonna have a bunch of honorable mentions as well.
For sure. So the easy one for me, and this will probably be a lot of people's unofficial number one, was Gary Tonin versus Hanato Canuto at ADCC.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you say, like, as far as an action-packed match goes?
Hashtag the wildest shit ever.
Yeah. It was like a stand-up war, tons of wrestling, tons of scrambles. I don't know.
Getting, like, speared off the mat.
Yeah.
Going on to the other mats. It was...
Yeah. So this, a good example of how good a match is for Thanksgiving, my sister and her husband had a bunch of people over, and one of their friends also does jiu-jitsu, and she's been trying to get her boyfriend into it, and he thinks it's super boring. And I pulled that match up.
Yes.
And then he just shut up immediately and watched it all the way through. And he was like, oh, yeah, if the matches were like this, this is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I would watch this. I'm like, I know, because we all would watch that because it's baller. And like, it's like, thanks, Gary Tonin, for giving us. I think Gary Tonin legitimately may have 3 to 5 of the top 10 most exciting jiu-jitsu matches ever, at least of the decade.
That's not even an overstatement at all. Like I could probably name
Paul
them.
Harris versus him.
Yeah.
The ADCC match versus him.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch. Crone
Gracie match was crazy.
Yeah.
Like he has a bunch of matches like that.
But let's also not take away from Hanato Canuto, who's fucking amazing to watch as well. He's so exciting to watch. Like this matchup, everyone was drooling about this to begin with, and once this match happened, they delivered. And I remember like the crowd going nuts. And Maine, you were saying that you were trying to interview Gabby Garcia around this point, I think.
Oh, so I remember like looking and like you can basically the audio for the Gabby Garcia interview for like the first kind of half interview we did is basically useless because the crowd was losing its mind.
Yeah.
At a level that we think we heard like probably 4 or 5 times in that weekend, but it was basically the entire arena was inaudible.
Right.
And I was like, I'd really love to speak to Gabby Garcia now because she's giving me this interview and like we're standing right next to the mats and she's being very nice to me, but I can't hear anything she's saying. I'm standing next to her and can't hear her. The mic definitely can't hear her.
Right. So, I mean, there aren't singular moments from this match. Most of us have seen it. If you have not, you have to go and see it. It's just electric through and through and goes into overtime and delivers the whole way. So,
just amazing performance.
Unless you guys have more to say on that, I think.
No, go back and watch it. It's on everyone's list that made a list this year.
Right.
That it's just outstandingly amazing.
So, next match.
So next match I had was Lachlan Giles versus Kynan Duarte at ADCC. We talked about this a little bit earlier. This was in the absolute, the first round, right after Kynan won the plus 99. And he was also ranked going into this, the pound for pound best in the world in the gi, according to Flow Grappling. What else do I have on this? Oh, also, Giles is the lightest competitor to be on the podium for ADCC since Marcelo Garcia and Andre Galvao did it when they were both 77, and they took silver and bronze. But still, that's a pretty prestigious list to be on.
Yeah, yep.
That's a crazy list. I interviewed Lachlan after this and asked him about it, and he was basically like, "Yeah, I think Marcelo has more of these, but but it's still awesome to be up there with him."
Yeah,
yeah. One of the pound for pound goats. Like, I think Marcelo might have done it more than me. Like, okay, but look at who you're talking about. That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, to be up there on that list with Marcelo. Like, again, this was such an amazing moment. The crowd absolutely lost its mind, like, during this match. This is, like, I think, top 10 anime, like, finishes or pop-offs of all time. And then we saw him go on and, like, do it 2 more times. But this match being like the first and being kind of against all odds, as you kind of may put it,
right,
was just absolutely crazy.
Right. And then, I don't know, I really liked the response from the community. Like, right after, Muhammad Ali was one of the guys that he'd beaten.
Oh, yeah.
And Muhammad was like, hey, man, I guess we need to get that instructional. As soon as you can put it out, I'll be down to watch it. Like,
And
all the guys he beat were super stoked.
He tagged Kainan and... was it
Gaudio?
Gaudio.
He tagged them both in it, and
Yeah.
like there's I think Howell was talking about it from Flow Grappling that off the mat Gaudio was icing his knee, and I think it was him or Kainan and him and I think it was him and Ali. Basically were like upset, and then they were like both getting their knees iced, and they looked over each other and they just kind of laughed, like this dude.
Yeah.
So it shows you how cool the community can be in those spaces.
All right.
You have the list, man.
All right, cool. Moving on to the next match. Craig Jones versus Gabriel Arges at GrappleFest 4. This one was a big one to me, not necessarily because Jones beats Arges with a heel hook, because we kind of thought that was kind of what was going to happen going into it, since Arges mostly does gi stuff and Craig Jones pretty much only does no gi. But the cool thing about this was, to me, to see how far no gi has come in terms of the sports side, where it's a completely different game than gi. So you have one of the best guys in gi losing to one of the best guys in no gi in the no gi arena. So to me, it was a really like marquee event, or marquee match, I should say, to really expose how much different no-gi is than gi.
That's a really good point because, we for a long time, I think the reason why IBJJF Worlds was the event for Prestige was because those guys could go into just about any rule set and wreck house.
For sure.
And now that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
Now there are no-gi specialists who will take it, who will defeat the best. So I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, and there was like a ton of leg entanglements and entries from Jones that if you're not up on that leg entanglement meta of the no-gi world, then you're going to be behind the curve. And you see that even with like a really high-level guy like Arges. He was kind of behind the curve, obviously not to badmouth him at all. He's amazing, but it's like if you're not up on that new meta game of leg entanglements and wrestling, then you're way behind the curve for no-gi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you said everything I thought. It was an amazing moment. Sweet. I think you skipped one on your list.
Did I skip one?
No, Austin's just going down his.
I'm on the master list.
You have the different list.
So
I got the list you sent me, man. I tried to organize it.
Yeah, let's talk about this one, dude. Austin, take it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one I had was Keenan versus Miragali, the absolute of 2019 IBJJF Worlds in the first round.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That was a huge one.
Dude, what did Miragali rack up on this? I think he racked up 10 ads.
I think
It sounds right. He had a ton of ads.
The score was 2 points to like 8 or 10 ads because Miragali went ham on the loop choke.
Loop choke, near passes.
He had a triangle attempt at one point. There was a bunch of submission attempts that Miragali had, but I don't know. The best part of this match to me was that it's kind of the best technique versus strength, and I don't really want to call it that. It's probably better to say the best play of the rule set versus aggression and athleticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's a really cool thing on Flow Grappling. It's maybe 5 minutes long that I suggest checking out. It's Keenan right after the match explaining everything that just happened. And it's not in super technical detail that you wouldn't understand. It's more like tactical detail. It's like, oh, I knew that he couldn't probably sweep me if I hold these double lapel grips and a double underpass. It's like the danger is he could potentially triangle me, which is fine because I have a triangle defense ready to go. And like he says all the vulnerabilities, and then you watch Miragali taking advantage of all the vulnerabilities, but then Keenan being like, oh, but he can't sweep me, so I'm fine. And you can't sweep him. It's like, I don't know. That stuff, to me, I like to nerd out over, seeing all these weird grip exchanges where Keenan's like, oh, if he doesn't do this, I win. Oh, I knew he was going to be aggressive here, but if I stop him with this like worm guard, then he can't do anything.
Keenan had some of the best breakdowns for this match I've ever seen. I think he did one or two different. I think he made a podcast with BJJ Fanatics or somebody.
He has
else.
it on his podcast too.
When his podcast, it was him. It was Matt Byrne, and he was talking with Hanger about like all of the things that he was doing in that match. And it was like a little longer form in the interview with Flo, but like, oh, he does this and go here and like, oh, tactically, I thought he would. And basically, he talks all about the tactics of the match. Like, hey, here's what I was thinking going into this, and he talks about a bunch of different guys that he's faced, and like, oh, I thought this guy would do this here at the beginning. He talks about like him versus Leandro Low and like all the
Right.
difference. Like it was a really cool, and Keenan's gonna put out some really great content this year, talking about like the tactics behind a lot of the choices he makes and like why he has crafted the game that he has. And I think this match, like the breakdown and the match in itself,
Yeah, the match itself was really awesome anyway. But then to have him, like you said, go back and then talk about it directly, and I think it's extra special to catch him right after the match.
because everything's fresh.
Everything's fresh, but then it's like to have that kind of recall, because I don't know.
Yeah.
As soon as you, if you catch me after a match,
I
I'm
can't
like,
remember shit.
I don't know anything. I'm like, I don't know. I blacked out, and then they raised one of our hands. I don't really know what happened.
It's true.
It's also really cool.
He knew
stuff.
so much stuff.
We talk about how dangerous Margali is in the gi, and like that he had so many submission attempts on Keenan, and he wasn't able to tap him.
Yeah.
I think, and this segues into the next one that Austin has here.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why this was such a big deal was next match, Nicholas Marigali submitting Muhammad Ali in the 2019 IBJJF Worlds Super Heavy Final. Holy shit.
That was some crazy
That
shit.
was huge.
Yeah.
We knew Marigali was good, but this, I think, absolutely cemented, like,
It was so dominant that it was pretty nuts.
Muhammad
and not
Ali
what I was
looked
expecting.
out of like a fish out of water. Like it was insane.
Yeah, Margali, I don't think we see that many guys attacking at this high level with that many submissions in one match. It was up until the finish. I mean, I don't know. He had triangle set up, he had an almost set up, an armbar set up at one point, and props to Ali for getting out of it.
And everything looked scary and dangerous.
Yeah, everything was a threat.
We see a lot of subs at the high level that like
Sure.
that aren't subs where it's like, oh, he's throwing
It's a
this
jab.
thing up, and it's like it's not
For
going to
sure.
go. And then you saw every sub that Margali was throwing up in this match was like, oh, that's a legit like.
Yeah.
If this doesn't get defended, like really,
If you had
really
someone
well.
less explosive and athletic than Ali, who's as game as he is, I'm pretty sure he would have tapped him on one of the earlier subs.
Oh,
Oh
easily,
yeah, easily.
And
like that omoplata setup was just like it was.
he had to like
deep and
cartwheel
over.
pass through to over unders to get out of a triangle. It's like, who has to do that?
We see Marigali chain attacks like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's an onslaught when he's coming at you, and they are legitimate. Like, and what I think the thing that really almost like terrifies me was like the end sequence. Like, it wasn't a flash submission. Like he controlled,
he grinded it. For
he
sure.
grinded Muhammad Ali out. That's
Right.
fucking nuts.
That's crazy. You're saying it's like, oh my god, I remember how I love this show for this reason, because you remember all these moments and like how it kind of reminds me of how we felt when we first broke these matches down on the show for like the Worlds recap show we did and the ADCC Finals recap, and like every match we go through, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like talking about how cool of a moment that was and like reliving the feeling of breaking it down again.
You know what? Now that I'm starting to like piece it together. There's like, because Margali is the most dangerous athlete that I can think of. Like, there are people that I can probably put maybe one or two people who are a handful of people that are maybe all around just a little bit better, but
We're splitting hairs
you're
here.
splitting hairs.
Sure.
But like,
I know what
he
you're saying.
reminds me when I'm thinking about it of like Mike Tyson, right? Like Mike Tyson, who could just fucking put anybody down at any moment.
Yeah.
Wasn't wasn't complete necessarily, but
But he's
like
KOing everyone.
yeah, he's KOing everybody.
Yeah.
Like that's what he reminds me of. That like
really
Marigali
the way
is
to
just
put
like just so fucking dangerous. Like he could, at any given moment he could submit anybody.
Yeah,
Not beat, submit.
I think that's the difference with Margali. Is like you look at a matchup, you're like the question is usually not like will he beat him, is like does he sub him?
Right.
Because it was 2018. This is the craziest stat ever. If Margali beat you in 2018, he submitted you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Everyone and all the majors you did?
Speaking of 2018, this is his second world title, so that's like extra special to me. When you're a multiple-time world champion, that kind of cements you.
As
It
an
cements, it
outlier.
cements your legacy for
Yeah.
sure.
You're an outlier.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what Maine and I call outliers. Is
If
like
you win a world title, you're already like in the pantheon of like BJJ legends. But then
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like to win a second one is something special.
Because
for
we
sure.
talked about it
Anyone after that,
when we did the
special
Outlier
also.
show, was like everyone, not everyone, but like if you're on that level, a guy can win it on the day. You can have a day that's just like,
sure.
what happened that day? You were just on. But to do it twice,
Yeah.
especially like in a short time frame, like Margali doing it. Did he win last year? He won 18-19.
yeah.
18, 19.
Yeah,
that's
to
what we're talking
win
about,
2
19.
years in a row is just like, okay, you have that something special where you can do that. And submitting in the world finals.
Yeah. Yep.
Dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. So
We're all out of order, man. I don't know where on my line.
right,
My list is way out of order.
We'll just go on my list then.
yeah.
All right, next one. Gabriel Arges versus Asaki Behens in the 2019 Worlds Final at middleweight. This was pretty crazy. This match I added because of the heavy drama. Just as a reminder, Asaki was the world champion last year.
Mm-hmm.
He'd already won Euros and Pans, and almost no one scored any points on him, like almost all year. So this was pretty crazy. They're tied 4-4. Argis is down by an advantage. They're stuck in 50-50, and they were nearly out of time. He comes out of the back door and comes up on a body lock, runs Asaki down, and then scores on him in the last 30 seconds, and then he beats him out for the middleweight final for the world title. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It was last second, and it was the back take was so close.
Yeah.
It was so damn close. Yeah, that was an outstanding.
This is one of those definitely on the edge of your seat matches, especially if you know like at the stakes that these guys are at.
To give you an idea of, I'm looking at my notes here. To give you an idea of how dominant Bahens is, he knocked out JT Torres in the quarters.
That's nuts.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. The path to this was no joke, and then to see that match was just
That
outstanding.
was a crazy division too. I can't pull a single match off of the division, but I remember that being like a really crazy division. All like a bunch of guys had like really strange like pathways to the finals there.
I think BJJ Heroes might have it, where they have like a ranking system of like who has the most points for difficulty through like a bracket or something like that for Worlds.
Okay.
And I want to say both of them had a really crazy path to getting to the finals. And they had like, I think it's out of 4 points maybe. I'm not sure. But they both had like 3 point something
Jesus.
points of difficulty getting to the finals.
Yeah, that was an absolutely crazy. These are all matches you can go back and rewatch, and you honestly kind of should to give you a framework for like, hey, 2020 might be super awesome.
Yeah.
You got anything else on that one?
That's it. Let's move on.
Move on to the next one.
All right, so the next one I had Mikey Musumeci versus Bruno Malfacine 2019 Roosterweight semifinal.
Oh my god.
This is the final. Like we all pretend like this wasn't the finals, but like this was
Right.
the finals because the person that won this was gonna be the champion. I think
sure.
Mikey beat was it Tamushi Hashimoto in
Uh,
the finals?
Rodney
Final-
Barbosa.
Rodney
Yeah, Rodney
Barbosa.
Barbosa.
12-second ankle lock.
Yeah.
Was it 12 or 16?
12.
It was like
12
12 seconds. It was the like that modified
It was the Kayotero lock. It was
lock. Yeah.
The
I think
Kayotero lock.
Musumeci does it a little differently, but yeah.
He does. He has a
So-
slightly different like angle.
Yeah,
and finish on it.
the Malfacine match was truly, the finals equivalent.
Yeah, and this
For
this,
sure.
this drama had some this bracket had some drama going into it.
Oh my God.
And because Kaio and Bruno's history together and their back and forth over years at Roosterweight, and then Mikey almost not making Roosterweight.
He had to shave his head apparently to like make the weight. That's why he had that like buzz cut.
Dude,
'cause
he
shaved his
barely
head.
made the weight, and
Yeah.
like they talked about how tough the cut was for him, and that he like, and you see him. There's a video of, I don't know where we can find. It's probably in Flow somewhere of like him weighing in on the scale, and you see like his relief of like, oh my god, I made the rooster weight. And think about that, returning world champion going down a weight class to fight the GOAT, undisputed 10-time or 11-time.
I think he's won 10 times. Maybe 11. I could be wrong.
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure.
The winningest-
It was 10, I think. Yeah, as I
The
recall.
winningest roosterweight, hands
Oh,
down.
for sure.
Like the dude that's won roosterweight, I think almost half the times that it's existed,
That sounds right.
he's won.
Right.
You know, and to come down to his weight class, and you and his professor, so him and your professor have been going about it for years. Then your guy comes in, the prodigy from that professor comes in and beats him, and it's a close match. And they tried to Brazilian Musumeci hard, and he still got it done.
Yeah.
And this is the heavy, like you said, the heavy drama made this a really awesome match. And then the no handshake from Bruno at the end. He kind of
Yeah.
does like the Fonzie Tukuver school, like, let me comb my hair as you try to shake my hand. And then Mikey's looking at the crowd like, what's going on? And they're all cheering for him. I don't know. The drama
He's
made
like,
that match
okay.
really great already in a match that was really back and forth, super technical.
And like
50-50 battles.
Mikey like cements himself not just as an outlier, but like, I mean, he's entering into discussion for greatest of all time.
I
sort of
looked at
level.
his record.
Yeah.
We did some. What did we look at? It was maybe for World Jiu-Jitsu Festival. We looked at Michael Musumeci's record at black belt. And he's like 2 losses that he's avenged once and twice.
Yeah.
At black belt. Like, dude, what?
Yeah.
You've beaten everyone you've ever faced at black belt.
Yeah.
Like, that's the like. No one is undefeated in jiu-jitsu. He has 2 losses, of which he avenged both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was an outstanding moment. Absolutely.
And he's little too. One for the little guys. My people, Austin.
Speaking of little guys, let's move on to the next match. I had Nicky Ryan versus Keith Krikorian from the 2019 ADCC North American Trials.
Yep.
This to me was special because it was like one of the coming out parties to me for Nicky Ryan. I've been watching him and Gordon Ryan for a while since they did like good fight, super fights before like tournament events and stuff like that. And like everyone was saying how good Nicky was when he was like 13 or 14. They're like, hey, no, yeah, this guy Gordon's good, but watch out for his little brother. He's also a killer and way meaner. And
they made jokes about it years ago, and it was like, I think it was Twitter post like from like 2013 or 14. It was when Gary Tone was still Gordon Ryan's main coach. He talked about like, we trained you wrong as a joke. Your brother's the guy we're really gonna like make sure he does it right.
He'll make jokes about Nicky all the time. He's like, I don't roll with Nicky. He's too scary. They would like joke around all the time when he did like seminars at our gym and stuff.
Well, like he did something at the gym, and then this was like right before I came to the gym. I was still at the other gym, and I came in, and you guys talked about like he was at the party, and then he got a call on the phone that Nicky Ryan had broken an adult's leg at some tournament.
Right.
And he was like 13, I think, or 14, maybe.
He had to be young teens, yeah. But so to me, again, let's go back to this match. He ends up subbing Krikorian with a rear naked choke, kind of that mandible across the jaw kind of choke. Like
not
face
kind
crush.
of, yes. Like, yes.
Well, like the end sequence is brutal, yeah. It was a face crush, but the match itself was amazing. It was like 7 minutes or so long.
Sounds right.
And I watched it earlier today. It was an awesome fucking match because it had moments of guard playing, but both of them had a ton of really good stand-up, single leg takedowns, just insane back and forth until Nicky eventually
also
found that opening.
The storyline for this match is really cool too. Nicky Ryan didn't do the East Coast trials because he was sick or he was injured. I forget which one it was. And then so this is his last shot because Nicky Ryan was previously the youngest ADCC contestant ever because he got in.
Late step in. Yeah.
He was a late step in 2017 in Finland when someone got injured, like the day before weigh-ins. So he made the weight. He got beat by Agazarm, I think, in the first round.
Right.
So then they're like, okay, well, he's not been probably active enough to get an invite to ADCC, so he's gonna have to win at trials. And then so he was sick for the East Coast trials. So this is his last shot to get into ADCC legitimately through like winning a trials. And Krikorian, who had placed second place at the East Coast trials and had been tearing up the no-gi scene, was on pace to basically, he got beat by John Combs at the East Coast trials. And so these two guys, kind of like the prodigy that's been to ADCC but gotten late versus the guy that was like so close at the East Coast trials, they meet up in the finals. And so it has everything we need for like one of our matches of the year. It has the drama, the storyline, the stakes.
But Nicky submits his way through the entire fucking event.
Right.
Yeah.
So he submitted Ara Muradian, Antonio Lopez, Cade Rotolo, who has had a fucking breakout year, Richard Alarcon, who upset Johnny Grippo at ADCC, and then of course Keith Krikorian. That's fucking incredible. To submit Cade Rotolo, Richard Alarcon, and Keith Krikorian in a row. That's fucking.
Dude, the West Coast trials were crazy.
They were crazy, and I'll talk about that event broadly speaking. But yeah, I agree that this match.
I'm going next year.
It was a phenomenal match. And it had a great narrative going into it. And I love both of those guys.
Of course.
Keith Krikorian and Nicky Ryan are both super entertaining.
I'm working on a piece with Krikorian coming up.
Awesome.
Hopefully in the next couple months. I'm going to try to basically do a big interview piece with him where we talk about a bunch of his matches that he's done over the years.
Hell yeah.
And kind of get his thoughts going. So look out for that in the next like 2 to 6 months.
Yeah.
We're on Maine time, which is like, it'll come out eventually.
All right, so next match, Leandro Lo versus Kenan Duarte. 2019 IBJJF World's Heavy Final. This is, to me, really special because it's almost a changing of the guard of who's the best in the division right now. It was a 5-2 win for Kenan, however you pronounce it. I've heard it both ways.
He said either way. Look, we interviewed him at Fight to Win Philly. He was like, you can
Brazilians
say whatever.
say Kainan.
He's like, you Americans can say Kenan. It's fine.
Fair enough. So here's the two big points I wanted to make about this match. So Lowe's really known for being the guard passer and sweep guy, and Kenan did both of those things too low, which I think is pretty crazy. He passed Lowe's guard, and he swept him from this single leg X to like tech up with a pants grip kind of grip.
We're seeing that a ton recently.
Yes.
Like that is a really
that's
popular
become kind of the go-to thing for the guys who are middleweight and above. I've been seeing it's like a collar and pant grip tech up, and then kind of to like a crappy wrestling single.
Yeah, it's been the most annoying thing to fight in the gym ever because it's like it's really hard to stop because the guy he's at that middle range far enough away and you're like, I can't really close the distance and I want to pull and sweep but I'm too far to do that, but you have dominant grip. It's a cool little meta thing we see in this match as well.
Yeah, like I said, this match special because I think it's like a changing of the guard moment. A lot like the Musumeci and Bruno Malfacine match. You've seen this guy who's been so dominant for so long, and you see this kind of like young up-and-comer phenom.
In his first year as black belt.
Yes.
Oh my God, this was his first year
Yes.
at black belt.
Yeah, dog. Yeah,
Whoa,
that was a huge moment.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's been so much this year I'd forgotten about that, but you're right.
That was
Yeah.
his
That
first
was
year at
fucking
black
huge.
belt.
Yeah.
To win a title your first year at black belt versus like a guy like Leandro Lowe, like a dominant champion
in
at
the
what?
fucking heavyweight.
3
yeah.
or 4 different weight classes, I think. Is Lowe a 4-division champion or a
Ooh.
3 or
I want to say
4.
3,
Yeah.
but maybe I don't know. It might be 4. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'd have to look it up.
But yeah, that was a huge moment, and like we're starting to see this complete grappler. You know, like Kainan and complete grapplers. Kainan is definitely a complete grappler, but we're starting to see them more and more now emerge. Excuse me, sorry. As the
Get excited,
champions.
Emil?
I'm just. So
we're talking
choked
about
up.
Kanan.
Yeah.
Like Kanan, you're like one of your favorite dudes.
Proud of my boy. You're my boy, Blue.
No, but we're starting to see these complete grapplers. Like Leandro is incredible, but we've seen that he has holes in his game. You know, we saw Craig Jones beat him, whatever.
Yeah.
Kainan is on a different level, and we're
Yeah.
starting to see that. So yeah, big changing of the guard.
All right, and our final match for the top 10 list, Tex Johnson versus Felipe Pena at Kasai Pro 5.
Tex Johnson submits Felipe Pena
Yeah.
via heel hook.
Goddamn.
And that shit was wild. Because, like, no one picked that. Like, no one picked,
Yeah.
Tex is going to beat Felipe. Oh, he's going to beat him by sub. But, I mean, if you look at Tex, like, that is Tex's pathway to victory for most guys. Like,
For
he
sure.
is a leg lock dude that will grab, grip, and rip. So this was one of the biggest upsets of the year, I think.
I would definitely say for
100%.
sure it is.
If Pena can multiple times like big dog fucking Gordon Ryan,
Right.
like the king of the leg locks, like yeah, it's a huge upset for Tex Johnson to be able to do it.
And then I think the drama of the match too, kind of like, did he hold the heel hook too long? Should he have let go? He said he didn't feel the tap at first. In the interview after the match, he said he talked with Murillo and they're all good now. But during the match, there was some heavy drama. Felipe didn't want to shake his hand at first because it seemed like he held the heel hook too long, and then we had to watch the replay from different angles to make sure. So I kind of like that kind of outside drama in addition to being a really big upset.
I didn't really
Thought that
think he was
really
a
cool.
drama guy.
I'm really not. Like, I really like
It
really
pulls
technical.
us in, man. We
does.
can talk. We
But
can
now
talk all we
that
want.
makes it memorable.
Yeah,
It does.
Like, I love
Yeah.
the super technical stuff, but sometimes you have a match where it's like, ooh, I remember that because he held on a little too long, and it was a crazy upset. Like, that's what cements it in your head.
I remember looking at this and kind of like never being able to determine like did he hold too long or not. It was like always
Yeah.
like it's like in the line 'cause there's a weird transition that happens as they roll under on the leg lock, and I was just like, and then everyone's like cool at the end, and then we still see Pena,
For sure.
compete again. But dude, that was we're watching that live. I think it was one of those yell at my screen matches where I was like, oh my god, he
Yeah.
got him.
I remember messaging you, and I think I just messaged, holy shit. Like, I don't even think, without context, like, not necessarily in a group chat, just messaged you, and you were like, I know. Like, it had nothing, like, you didn't need any context.
No.
It was great.
So that was is that all the matches really?
That's it.
Yeah.
Man, that is a dude, what a good year.
Fucking
That's an awesome
2019 was
Yeah.
a baller year. And like this is one of the first. Last year was good. This year there were so many other matches. So do you want to move into honorable mention matches now where it's like, oh, it didn't make the top 10 list, but it's still like a really good match? Or do you want to go into like some other items we have?
Let's go into the upsets because I mean the honorable men. There's been a ton of good jiu-jitsu. It's hard to
sure.
even pick honorable mentions.
All right, so let's talk about the top upsets of the year for 2019 for professional jiu-jitsu matches. We just talked about the first match, Tex Johnson versus Felipe Pena. Like, that was a huge upset, and like no one thought that Tex would go out and submit Pena with a heel hook. Like, better yet, beat him on points, submit him.
And we also talked about one of the earlier ones that we'll just kind of gloss over, but Lachlan versus all of ADCC.
Right.
is
I think
how-
in my notes I have it as Lachlan versus ADCC.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Kainan. We didn't really talk, and we'll just mention, him submitting Gaudio. Of course, Lachlan loses to Gordon, but then in the third place goes up against Muhammad Ali
Yeah.
and fucking submits all of them. And the size difference was colossal. I think the smallest size difference was
Patrick Gaudio.
I think Gaudio might have been one of the larger ones, actually.
Oh, Kanan's kind of a smaller person.
Yeah, I think Kainan was the smaller, and Muhammad and Gaudio were like
They're massive.
You know, like
I thought Gaudio was under 99
I'm trying to remember. I think it might have been very close to 100-pound weight difference.
on like all the guys.
Yeah. On the heavier ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fucking. Yeah.
Being
Muhammad
a-
Ali was 260 fucking pounds.
He's a big dude.
260 pounds, and
Jesus.
he was fucking ripped. It wasn't.
And he fought Tim Spriggs, and he fought Nicky Rodriguez, and then Lachlan Giles comes out, who is my size bro, and I've stood next to Muhammad Ali, and he's a brick of a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, I come up to like his pack. I come up
He's
to
a
Nicky
fucking
Rod's
action
pack,
figure,
dude.
So like any one of those would have been memorable. For all three, it was just like
for sure.
I remember I came back I was like backstage watching matches, and then we watched Lachlan win. I was like, I'm gonna go back and sit with everyone at our seats because I actually want to like stop doing like backstage stuff for a minute and just watch how this turns out.
Yeah.
And the crowd for those 3 matches was electric. Those
Yeah.
were, I think, 3 of the top 5. Maybe top 5 or 6 biggest like shouts from the crowd the entire event were those 3 heel hook finishes, and like I get kind of like goosebumps still thinking about it, like how electric that arena was. It was something special that I can't think of another moment in grappling that would ever have happened like that.
I still remember Lachlan after Kainan stepping up and doing the like gladiator, like, are you not entertained? like striding around the mat. Oh god damn.
That's
it's
such
so
a good
fucking
moment. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Like, I can't like that gets me excited to go to ADCC again. I was
Yeah.
like, man, that moment. So that was those 2 matches. So Lachlan versus ADCC.
So let's talk about a new match, also from ADCC. Fucking stunning, equally breathtaking. Fionn Davies beating Bia Mosquito by snapping her arm.
backwards.
Yeah, Bia Mosquito, the defending ADCC champion, you know, multiple time world champion, you name it, Bia's won it. And Fionn's coming up as an up-and-comer, and they'd already met earlier this year.
Was it Euros or was it
Euro? I
Worlds?
can't remember.
I would say it was like the Grand Prix or something, right? Like something like the not Grand Prix, like
Grand
Abu
Slam.
Dhabi.
Yeah,
Grand Slam
I
thing.
think you're right.
I want to say Bia won like by like a lot of points. Like,
Well, it was a lot, but we talked about this. If you actually watch the match, it was a very narrow, like it was
a closer match than the points suggest.
yeah, it was,
that was that match. Okay.
yeah, that was the one where Fionn was winning, and then
It was like 10-2 or something, I think.
Bia hits
10 to
like
2.
Yeah.
is able to like destabilize her, hits the sweep, but then
Yeah.
lands in like mount more or
Right.
less, and doesn't hold it for very long.
Right.
And yeah, there was a large portion of that match. So Fionn had lost to Bia earlier that year, and comes out and just breaks her arm.
Gets us so, and then, I was Matt's side during that, and I was like, oh, it bent the wrong way.
Oh yeah, no,
Ew.
it was
It was gross.
gross. It was an amazing
It
match.
was a huge upset.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
huge
another
upset.
really great moment from ADCC 2019.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Maisa Bastos versus Rukako Yuasa.
Oh man.
Rukako Yuasa is the most defendingest. Is it Roosterweight for women? What division is she at?
I can't
Could
remember
never
the
tell
name.
The
weight
lightest,
classes.
the lightest women's weight class for IBJJF, and has been the defending champion. Has been pretty unbeatable in that event at that weight class for a while now. Maisa Bastos comes and takes the title from her,
Yeah.
and like everyone picked Yuasa. Like you going into that, it was like, okay, it's gonna be Yuasa. Who's she gonna be in the finals with? Maisa coming in and winning that world title over Rukako Yuasa was a huge upset, and really cemented her as like a new player in that top of that division, and on the world stage, she's now the one to beat.
Yep. Absolutely.
Another huge matchup. We already kind of talked about it a little bit. Keenan versus Margali. I
Yep.
think in hindsight, this is not less impressive, but going into this matchup, everyone had Margali.
For sure.
And it was like, okay, Margali's going to win because Margali had beating everyone, been submitting everyone. And this is an absolute, or was this in weight?
This was an absolute.
This is an absolute. And then Keenan gets it done with the sweep, and then there's like 10 or 8 ads racked up by Margali, and Keenan.
I think calling Keenan the underdog is not to badmouth Keenan. I think everybody knows how good he is. He's even said it himself, I think, in that interview I was talking about earlier, where he said kind of, and not so many words, he basically said, everyone lists these few guys like Margali, Kanan, all these top tier guys who are going to win everything basically. And he's like, and I don't really, he's like, I'm kind of like a second, like afterthought. Like I'm one of those guys on the level, but I'm not the guy anybody thinks is going to win everything.
Right.
So to have that win, he definitely even said it was a feather in his cap that, he
Yeah.
could implement his game plan so well.
Yeah. At the moment, I really kind of want to come back to that. At the moment, though, this was a pretty big upset because everyone
huge.
picked Mergali to win both.
Yeah, of course.
Weight and absolute, like he was probably Mergali, and then have Keenan win that was at the moment a huge upset. So moving on. That made me laugh. My note, Nicky Rod versus expectations.
The best note ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick any one of those moments, right? Because, we saw him have an incredible run at West Coast Trials of ADCC, but then, you still don't know how he's going to fare when he starts.
He'd been
facing
training
off.
like 18 months.
Right.
18 months in jiu-jitsu. And everyone went, okay, he's phenomenal. He's really good. And then you see him like he beat this guy. He beat that guy. He beat this guy. And
So
then
he's going
the
into-
entirety of the year,
Yeah.
you watched him just like, yeah, beat the next guy. Yeah, it's a good guy. I had this problem. He beat this guy.
But then he goes into ADCC, and his first fucking draw is Muhammad Ali.
and you're like, oh, let's see how this turns out.
yeah, it's
Right.
like, all right, now,
By the way,
now we're going to
was,
see.
that was the first match of the
He
tournament.
was
Yeah.
already beating black belts at blue belt, but then
Yeah.
it's like, oh well, that's just regular everyday black belts, not these top tier black belts. It's like, well, okay, and then he catches Muhammad Ali and
Yeah.
wins. So
Yeah, no, and as Maine said, that was off the bat, like the very first moments of ADCC, we got to see that,
Yeah.
and the crowd was already going fucking.
And then-
just them walking out onto the mats, the crowd lost their fucking mind.
Yep.
They knew that they were in for a show. We got a fucking awesome show.
Then he fights previous champion, Orlando Sanchez.
Yep.
And everyone was like, okay, so my Ali's good, but Ali's, not necessarily been known as
he
a
like
no-gi
caught, he
player.
caught Ali in the last moments with a really dope
maybe,
fireman.
and then
he's not
Orlando-
gonna fireman's carry Orlando.
Yeah. And then first thing of the match, he snaps Orlando down hard as shit, and everyone goes, "Oh snap! Nicky Rod's here. He's here for keeps."
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then beats Orlando. And then
Yeah.
you're like, okay, so Orlando, we don't see him very often. And you always have these caveats. You have these caveats
Yeah.
you go through. And then he runs into Cyborg, and you're like, okay, Cyborg's already been a champion ADCC. He's already won the Absolute. Like, okay. And then he wins the decision over Cyborg. And it was like, yo, Nicky Rod is the
he's
real
going
fucking
into the fucking
deal.
final. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, and he had a pretty competitive final with Kainan
Yeah,
up until
Keenan spent a lot of time on his
Yeah.
back, but then he gets out, and then you see him trying to, like 20 minutes in, you see him aggressively almost passing the guard, and almost in, like, no one expected that
No.
from Nicky Rod.
No.
And, like, this cemented him, like, yo, he is on the level, put him on the map of, like, this is a top-level guy at the weight class in Nogi.
Yep.
And then he gets the purple belt.
Yeah.
And we all pretend like we're playing the same game.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm a purple belt, too. Oh, this
Yeah.
is lies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Yeah, just to see him break out was amazing.
I can't wait what it looks like in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like how much better? How much more jujitsu he's gonna have in 2 years?
Yeah, with fucking Gordon Ryan training with
that was at
him.
Henzo's a lot of the time now. He's
Yeah.
still at
Craig
South Jersey
Jones.
BJJ a lot of time, and Craig
Yeah.
Jones because he's with all those guys and he's training like a pro athlete with that grappling background. It's like,
gonna be
man, he
scary.
had a
His
hell of a
ceiling's going to
year.
be fucking high. But I want to talk about one of the most like. I was like watching this match, and this is a edge of the seat upset. Lucas Lepre taking down Kainan Duarte at Absolute in Euros. That was fucking huge, and it wasn't just that Lucas Lepre won; it was how he did it. He decided to do stand up against Kainan Duarte. That's how he decided that he was going to score his points.
The more I think about this, the crazier it
pretty
gets.
It's
I'm
fucking
like,
nuts.
oh my god, this
and I went
actually
back and I
happened.
watched it, and I was like, what the fuck is he doing? He's like, he's standing with fucking Kainan.
That's one of those things. You look at like the guy you're coaching, you're like, you just yell like, don't do that.
Don't
Like,
do that.
No, don't play that game.
Don't do that at all. And he manages to do it. And so he's, Lucas gets taken down because, standing with Kainan's a terrible idea.
Right.
Kainan does a knee pick, takedown or whatever. And he does a tech up, is able to get a takedown. And then Kainan is able to sweep him. And so Kainan's up 4-2. And like time is fucking running out. Like there are not many seconds left. I'm trying to see 33 seconds remaining in mat time, and Lepre gets a fucking takedown, and the crowd is just fucking losing their shit at this point. It was awesome match, huge upset,
bonkers.
really, 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 really incredible. Another match.
This is
upset
ordered weird
match.
now, isn't it?
Well, it's upset match featuring Lucas Lepre, but on the losing side, Dante Leon taking him down in ADCC, taking his fucking back.
Yeah.
Word.
Taking his fucking back.
Dude, Dante Leon had a hell of a year. He's going to be lower on our list here. Dante Leon had a hell of a year. Like, to see a guy like Lepre, they can beat Kainan, and then have a guy like Dante, you're like, a guy that, like, we've seen has looked really good. He got
Not just a year ago. I'm looking at this list right now. A year ago when we were doing our recap of 2018.
Grapplers to watch.
Grapplers to watch, Mike Padilla, Wagner Hosha, and third, Dante Leon.
Yo, I'm saying we called it.
We fucking called it.
We called it.
Yeah. Like,
I'm going to make that list like 30 guys this year, so in 2020, I can be like, I totally called it. Man, you listed 45 guys. I totally called it.
But, I mean, like, he's a rare blend of now becoming successful.
And he just won the Worlds.
And entertaining.
Nogi Worlds. He just won Nogi Worlds this last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
He's a combination of
And he didn't close out.
Successful.
So we know he's a gangster.
Yeah.
He could have closed out at Worlds, and he was like, nah, I'll fight for it.
Yeah.
And then, like, getting Lepre, like, he's a dude. Like, that is a huge upside. And that really showed that Dante Leon is on that level of, like, world beater, top-level guy.
Yeah.
So that's what I got for biggest upsets. That's, like, let's call it
That's a
5.
solid
Between
list.
5 to 8.
Yeah.
Biggest upsets
So
of the year.
what I want to talk about now are the rewind recommends. So these are matches that, as Maine and I and the Grappling Rewind team were, going through week to week, if we saw a match that we had stopped and would be like, yo, you got to see this match, we would put it down on this list. Some of them...
We say we. This is a list that Emil curates because none of us can always ever remember to do it. So this is a thank you for Emil. Like, these are the matches that there are fire, barn burner matches that you should go back and watch because they are entertaining and really back and forth and exciting. This is the, like, exciting hot fire matches, dial on of 2019.
That's right. And so we've already talked about a couple of them, but I'll go into the new ones here. So, first off, we have... At Fight to Win 99, a gi match, Gerson Attigue versus Santos Rivera. This is one of those matches where off the bat in the first 5 seconds, there's like, or 15 seconds, there's a rolling toe hold, where you're just like, okay, all right,
These guys are going.
They're going for it. But what was remarkable about this match was all of the different styles and techniques, gi techniques. There was, again, this rolling toe hold, spider guard sweeps, triangle, straight arm bar, and counter toe hold off of these. So there were like counter submission attempts in this, back takes. This was a match that was like an exemplar of what gi jiu-jitsu could be. It's not just, eking out
It's not grip and hold. It's not like butt touch ad. It's like, this is like, oh, these guys can push a pace regardless of it being in the gi or no gi.
And, like so many of the like truly exciting matches that we've seen, a lot of them are no gi, in part because we're starting to see a lot of promotions that are strictly no gi.
Yeah.
Encourage no gi, things like
With
that.
the stuff that we watch for the most part, we just tend to watch a little bit more no gi because it's just featured on the super fight scene a little more.
Exactly. Yeah. But, this was a gi match that was amazing. So next up is not a single match, but a series of matches. This is the ADCC West Coast Trials Finals. All of them are rewind recommends. 6 out of 7 of these divisions ended in a submission in the finals.
Dude,
that's fucking nuts. I remember just watching this. And if you go to Flow Grappling and you click on the finals match, you can sort by finals matches. So many of them are like 2 minutes long. You're just like, holy fucking shit. So here's a list of the things that happened in the ADCC West Coast Trials Finals. We already talked about Nicky Ryan blowing through his division with all submissions and submitting Keith Krikorian in a really exciting match.
That's under 66 kilos.
Here are some of the absurdly exciting fighters that came out of that West Coast Trials. We had, of course, Nicky Ryan, Josh Hinger, who had a fucking awesome run.
Subbed his way. He's the guy that could have gotten an invitation. He was like, you know what? No, I want to earn my spot. And he's talked about that on Matt Byrne and a bunch of other interviews, like being able to earn his spot. And what is he, like 97 years old or something? Yeah. What he always says, he's like the oldest guy ever.
Like 30.
Actually,
he's like
the funny thing is, in the finals
trials,
match, Keenan Cornelius is
commentating.
and he goes, Josh Hinger's, he's like, Josh Hinger's fighting for all the over 30s right now.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, it was like,
but he wins, and he wins via sub, and you were like,
fucking fast,
dude,
too.
gets it done.
Other exciting grapplers, Mason fucking Fowler, who had a fire match with BB Monstro in the opening rounds of, 88 kilogram at ADCC.
No, it wasn't 88. That was,
Is it 77? Well, whatever. Mason Fowler was fucking super exciting. Nikki Rodriguez also fucking coming out of this fucking ADCC West
This is
Coast.
that crazy ass back take.
Yeah.
This is that cartwheel back take that we talked about, where it actually worked.
Yeah, and just a teleportation that Nikki hits in the finals to get the rear naked choke to win. This is also where we saw Amanda Levis flying armbar of Maggie Grandotti a minute and 20 seconds into the match. Mason Fowler's finish was that insane omoplata where Keenan's like, oh, he should really connect his hands around the face, and Mason connects his hand around the face, starts ripping it, gets all the way to the back, and finishes the omoplata with the rear naked choke. It was
Imanari
just
style, baby.
Terrible. Josh Hinger gets a front headlock 20 seconds in, and Keenan's like, oh, this is over.
Yeah.
And, a minute and 5 seconds.
Anaconda.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a finish. So, yeah, all of these Rewind recommends. Go back and watch it. Really, really fucking exciting and very easy to just go to the event and sort by the finals. So
I got to find a excuse to go out there to West Coast Trials next time.
Third match, Joao Gabriel Batista de Souza defeating Iago George in Abu Dhabi London Grand Slam. I want to take a brief moment before I get into this match. Flo has some friction with people, but one thing that you have to just admire about them is the Abu Dhabi London Grand Slam had almost 900 match videos. That's
a crazy
fucking
amount
insane.
of footage.
Holy shit, really?
Yes.
900?
When I went back, I went back to find this match, and I was like, it had 876 or something like that. I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Regardless of, how you want to look at their business model, it's incredible that there exists an organization that cross-platform, cross-promotions has that level of detail now that we can go back and look it up.
That's a crazy, man. That's the one event.
That's one event.
That's 900 matches for one event.
Yeah. So this match between Joao Gabriel and Iago George was a fire gi match, insane pace. It's down to the wire. Omoplatas by Iago. Souza has an insane scramble to a single leg. And what was really insane was Iago's girlfriend was there
this match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this match.
They had her in
they had a picture-in-picture.
Because
that event had some of the best production of any event. They had the sky cam, they had the corner cams, they had the match cams,
and then they had the instant replays. And so they had, they had her, and you could see her reactions going through this. There was a lot of drama between the gyms, between these two guys, and this just goes down to the fucking wire. They're tied up, and Joao Gabriel ends up winning. Because Iago George had a penalty for fleeing the mat. So, really awesome match. Fourth match, Paulo Miao defeating Isaac Doderlin, also in Abu Dhabi London Grand Slam.
Dude, the London Grand Slam was a crazy event this year.
This was nuts, and this was the match, so first off, Doderlin hits not one, but 2 knee bars on Paulo, where the first one, Paulo's knee is visibly hyperextended. This was, I think, it might have been even worse looking than the Ty Rotolo knee bar. It was
Ew.
It was gross.
That's gross.
And Paulo shakes it off. He shakes off the second knee bar, and this match ends with a really, really fiery 50-50. Paulo's up 4-2 on Isaac, and Isaac, in the expiring seconds, hits the sweep, switches his hips, and Paulo's butt hits the mat. And by my fucking count, that should have been 2 points. And then Paulo does this insane thing where he basically, I don't know how to describe it, except that
he momentarily becomes a wizard.
Yeah, he levitates his butt off of the fucking mat. So that the ref doesn't call it, but it was really exciting.
That finish sequence was crazy, man. To watch the will that he had to not get that sweep. They fought. That was one of the matches where they fought. You watched how hard both guys were fighting, and you saw the 2 world-class technicians clash.
Yeah.
And like how much where they would it's something you only see at the highest levels of like the counter of the counter of the counter of the counter to stop
a battle of wills. You know, where you're just like, who desires this more? Like who like the whole ending sequence in the 50-50 is like they're both insanely off balance and they're both just going as hard as they can
to just come up on it. And you're like, no one wants to concede that sit back down and like go under and try to fight for something. They both want that position and they will not give up. That was a really, really cool. Dude, London Grand Slam was good this year.
Yeah, it was really good. Number 5, Karen Atunes defeating Talita Alencar at Fight to Win 106. This was an amazing pace.
These women went at it from the get-go.
I lost track of the sub-attempts, but there's triangles back and forth, aggressive passing to single legs, Karen with nasty wrestle down to a back take Kimura chain attack, reverse triangles. There's 1 point from over-under, Talita leaps over for a knee bar, deep knee bar on Karen Atunes. It's just all the way to the very end, nothing but submission attempts. Really, really incredible match. Number 6, Fionn Davies, also versus Talita Alencar, in Polaris 11. Savage match, really scrambly pressure from Fionn. Unbelievably tenacious with the back takes where Fionn is able to roll through and kind of like a baby bolo crab ride where she's just kind of like spinning through.
This is not one of the matches, but this was a match that I realized like how dynamic and how impressive the pace that Fionn keeps is. I'm not sure why, like maybe this wasn't the first match, but I think this is in my head was where it kicked off. I'm like, man, Davies really comes to like bring it to you the entire match.
Her pacing is nuts.
Yeah.
And it's
something about Polaris. I think that this match in particular was like kind of kicked it off, and I don't really know why and what about this matchup like did that to me. It's like the history between two women or like what it was.
You know, we see pressure pacing and heavy pacing from like, you know, for example, like Leandro Lowe, who's going to be insanely tough through and through, but he might just try to like just focus on the passing and hit you hard with the passing.
Yeah.
Like Fionn is just across the board. It doesn't matter if it's back takes or, you know, sweeps, sub attempts, grinding out mount. At one point, you know, she's going for an arm triangle from mount here. It's just everywhere. Really, really good work by Fionn Davies. And
that was a fun match.
Lastly, number 7, not strictly a jiu-jitsu match. It's actually a judo.
It's a fight to win judo match.
It's a judo match from Fight to Win 124. Thailand Mark Yuasa versus Tegan Yuasa.
Is it Talon or Thailand?
Thailand.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
So these two are brothers. If you don't know this match, Emil and I gushed over this match during our recap of it on whatever podcast that was. I forget which one it was. These two are brothers. They train at different locations, but they have obviously trained together before because these dudes knew each other's game and knew it well.
This did not, by the way, did not appear to be a work at all.
Oh,
but
no.
What we saw was attacks where they'd been training with each other so long that they had the counters truly prepared. And when you see a judo counter, it's breathtaking. It happens so fast and so incredibly. It looks like, you know, it looks like wizardry.
This is when I wish there was like slow-mo, because like you see a beautiful entry, and because they both know where each other is going to be, and then you see a beautiful like textbook counter
multiple
on
times
something.
We saw Tomoe Nages, which is when it's the sacrifice throw when you get a grip and you kind of like sit to your butt and put your foot on their hip and try to shoot them overhead.
It's that overhead throw that you hit that all the white belts hit and they just pull guard with. It's that throw.
So, you know, one of the brothers is, you know, spamming the Tomoe Nage, and the other one reads it pretty much every time and just does a cartwheel to get out of it. And
cartwheel front flip.
Yeah, basically. Just stunning judo. Really,
beautiful,
really
man. And this wasn't the moment. We've been excited on Fight to Win judo ever since we've seen it, but like this is just one of like, these matches can be
actually
that good.
Let's pause here. I think that's a big moment. Actually,
that was this year.
Judo being added in Fight to Win. All of the judo matches have been fucking great.
Dude, there's been like a couple matches ever for the judo matches that have been like, that was okay match.
Yeah.
Like almost every time we cover them, or like on the show and they have them on the cards, they're like, oh, that was a crazy match. That was a really good match. And like the way that Seth is now doing all of the reffing and the way he keeps them on the mat and like the guys that he selects and the matchups, it's just exciting stand-up judo. And you're like, oh, and I think it's implored a lot of people to like start training more judo. It's definitely pushed me to begin training more judo. We also have a judoka at my club. And so it's, okay, like I'm seeing a lot of it. I'm watching and I'm seeing what it looks like on like an exciting stage and how effective those techniques can be. But Fight to Win Judo for 2019 is another huge moment for like the furtherment of on like judo on like the pro fight scene, which again, we used to cover judo on this show probably back in 2016, but we're now kind of giving it, we just didn't have the staff to do it at the time, but we're now being able to cover more judo matches without having to kind of watch another 4 events a weekend. So it's really great. I'm really happy that Fight to Win has brought on judo because, dude, they're awesome matches.
Yeah. But that's what I got for Rewind Recommends.
That was awesome.
So look, what do we want to do? We want to do Breakout Stars for 2019?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, who you got?
Obviously, we've talked about Dante Leone. I think now he has made himself known to the broader
He's not a guy to watch anymore. He's like he's a breakout. So he just took a world title, took a no-gi world title last weekend.
This was one of his breakout years for sure. He's one
Yeah.
of the products of 2019 being like, hey, this guy's here. He's established now for sure.
Yeah. He's the guy that you see in a bracket. You're like, ooh, got to go against Leone. Like, that's going to be a tough matchup. And he's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt ever. Like, to be super excited. Really, really good and super, super exciting.
Yeah.
That's a good combination to have.
Yeah. There's the obvious Nicky Rodriguez.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, his second year doing jiu-jitsu. Like, you know, it's really where you hit your stride. I think as a competitor, usually at the highest level.
And usually at Blue Belt, you're usually getting invited to ADCC events and then winning some
not
matches
invited.
there.
He didn't get invited. He won the trials.
Oh, yeah, he was still Blue
Yeah.
Belt when he was still at trials.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, but like,
That's usually what happened when you're a Blue Belt.
yeah. You know, you go to the trials, both trials, you know, you place the first one,
I
then
feel
you win the
bad
second.
for Seth and Mo now because like every blue belt ever is gonna be like, oh well, you know, you've had a blue belt, you know, go through there.
You had a blue. It's like, you're not Nicky Rodriguez. Why not? Because look at him.
Yeah.
'Cause he's Nicky. Did you do a front flip, back flip take and choke some guy?
I do like that in the trials you can be a fucking, you know, blue purple belt,
Dude,
whatever the fuck you want.
I love the trials because it's the most legit entryway to a professional event
And
ever.
as I said before, in the West Coast trials, we had exciting people do well out of those trials. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, they earned their way in, but then they got smashed. Like,
Right.
nah, they did pretty fucking well.
True.
They did pretty fucking
Word.
well. Yeah. Ty
Speaking of,
Rotolo.
I was going to say, speaking of ADCC breakout stars,
Yeah.
Ty Rotolo, yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Like,
The ceiling for guys who start jiu-jitsu when they're barely able to walk, and then when they've had 10 years in, which is mostly, you know, you're starting to flirt with black belt level at least when you're around
Yes.
10 years in, just from information standpoint, right?
From
So
mat time.
He would be, let's say they're like the Rotolo brothers were maybe 13 when that happened. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
That's so scary to
Oh
think
my
about.
god! I just realized. I think they've both been training for 13 years.
Yeah.
They were on the mat burn. They talked about how long they've been training. It's 13 years.
Right. So if you've been training since you were 3 or 4 years old, I don't know. That's like such a ingrained part of your day-to-day life. And you know, they're homeschooled, so they're doing jiu-jitsu full time. That's got to be so crazy to have your puberty, like just body development, tailor itself around jiu-jitsu. Like your body movement, your body mechanics are going to tailor themselves for the sport that you love, for the thing that you're probably going to do for the rest of your life. That's so freaking incredible, man.
Yeah,
And I'm glad jiu-jitsu's getting to that place.
Dude, it's awesome to get old and go to masters. Can't wait for those guys. I can't wait. You guys both in masters. I'm like looking at. I'm like I don't want to get older, but I'm super excited to not have to fight young monsters. So it's awesome.
That is true, but it's also a thing of everyone who's in Masters has that same idea. So you're just getting like the 30-year-olds who are
That's
like...
fine, man. I'll take the 30-year-old monster over the 16-year-old
That's fair,
ADCC
man.
prodigy monster.
That's definitely true.
So who else we got?
I had Kyle Bame on my list.
yeah.
Just because the run he had... We've only seen him like in like 9 or 10 matches, I think.
We've seen him. I mean, we've covered him for a couple. We've covered him off and on for a couple years. I think since 2016. We've covered him off and on, but like we've seen him more recently. Like at black, I think honestly the black belt CB, not black belt CBD, BJJ Fanatics, both those events, him winning the brown belt and under one, and then him winning the black belt one after recently being promoted, cement him as like, oh, this is a dude. If you run into in an EBI rule set, he's gonna give you problems.
Yeah, and he's still dangerous. Like he submitted a lot of people who I think are still really good. I think you just had it pulled up, did you not?
I did, yeah. So let's see, Tex Johnson, he's has a win against Hulk in, again, BJJ Fanatics. Yeah.
That black belt list is really small, isn't it?
Tex Johnson, Dante Leon.
Yep.
Valdir
Shit.
Araujo.
Yeah. Those are fucking great names.
Yeah.
And Kyle Bain, it's not on here, but I thought he had a ridiculously good performance at Quintet, right?
He was on Subversive, and he ran into Spriggs at Subversive.
Oh, that's right.
And that was that match where him and Spriggs had some beef,
but
and Spriggs got upset.
He was doing. I remember because he, going into Subversive, had done something impressive. But anyway, I have to look it up.
I mean, but reason like a breakout guy.
Yeah, he's definitely on my radar. Definitely on the map now.
He won $20,000 in the last 2 months. From BJJ Fanatics events, from like being really good at EBI and EBI overtime rules. So, like, you run into him in EBI, and Gordon said it in the lead up to that. He was like, "Man, I wouldn't pick like Bame over Barbosa in any other rule set, but the EBI rules, like, he's really good at them." Absolutely. And he didn't call anyone else out except for Kyle Bame. So it's like if Gordon Ryan is picking you ahead of an event to maybe like be the guy, that is a good indicator to me, like, oh, Gordon Ryan sees something kind of special about like you in this rule set. That means he's prepared. He was supposed to be in that event. That means he's preparing for you.
Yeah.
Okay, he sees something.
Yeah, if he's aware of you in general, then it's because he's worried about something that you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Which is really cool. So, who else you got?
Mason fucking Fowler.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man! Like
that West Coast Trials
the
run
West
and
Coast Trials
ADCC
finish was impressive, but I mean, his match in the opening rounds of ADCC with BB Monstro was like, that was electric. I mean, that people were saying that was like, you know, behind Gary Tonin and Hanato Kanuto, probably like the second best match going out of day one.
Yeah.
In ADCC. Super, super exciting. I mean, and obviously, like, he's here now. You know, he's like competing.
Yeah, he has arrived.
Sure.
And his match versus Craig Jones was no joke too. You know, like Craig had to. I'm pretty sure that was the match where Craig was kind of fucking losing until he was able to pull out the submission.
I think in the last second he swept him, right? That's how it
he
finished.
choked him out. I think.
Yeah. That
got,
right.
I want to say it was a guillotine or something.
It was a guillotine. He finished off the mat with his back down on the concrete.
Yeah.
It was that match.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he was losing that one, you know. So Mason is like, you know, he can hang with the best for sure. Definitely big breakout.
I think BB Monstro on this list as well. He's a guy that we didn't really. He was not on, at least not on my radar before. He probably should have been, but
I think as an exciting grappler, definitely. Like, he puts on exciting matches. He's actually been on the wrong side of a lot of those matches in terms of results.
I think what kicked me off for him being really, really like a guy to watch is at Kasai. He kind of got a later position slot versus Penna, and then immediately comes out of the gate and almost takes Penna down. It was like, oh, snap. Okay, that's like, he is not playing like a safe game with this guy. He is immediately coming out and ready to crack, and Penna was able to get him during the match, but it was that. Not a lot of guys can all of a sudden put Penna on his heels immediately, and so that's for me at least why he's like a guy to watch, because like that one performance was like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yep. So how about fucking Fionn Davies? Yeah, right.
Dude,
we talked
she's
about her.
Super exciting.
Yeah,
we talked about her. She's got one of the more entertaining match. She has a rewind recommends match that was great. She has an upset match. You know, at ADCC.
Was her win over Gazeri Matuda this year?
Oh, I'd have to check.
I think it was. I think it was Polaris. We talked about it a little earlier in the show. I think it was Polaris 10 or 9. I don't recall, though. Is it on BJJ Heroes?
It is not.
Okay. So, again, super exciting, super dynamic grappler. Like, she just fights from every position. And there's not a single phase where you can really put her in where it's like, oh, she's, you know, not as strong here. She's just super active in all those spots. And I think that definitely, at least that's why she was on my list for, like, breakout stars of 2019. It's just because, like, the way and, like, how she performs on those big upset wins that she's had. I think this is her first or second year at black belt. She has not been a black belt for very long. I think she's
tail end of 2018, I think.
Okay. I think she's the first Welsh female black belt as well. So, like, new area coming in. Really, really impressive. Emil, you got anyone else on the list that you want to talk about?
I think those are the main ones.
Yeah.
So who's your grappler to watch in 2020? We should honestly put a couple of them in here just so that like 2021 week, 2020.
I mean, I feel like a lot of those. Well, okay. Well, yeah. That's,
Ideally, like I'm saying, like who's a guy that is either a brown belt or is like maybe just a new black belt or someone that like you think we should keep a huge eye on? Because I got like two guys, I think. I got Mateus Lutes, new black belt, got black belt like this last weekend. I can foresee him being a real force at black belt. You know, maybe they're not, his year is going to be this year, but like he's coming onto the scene and we've seen really impressive stuff from him this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a huge Lutes fan, so I have no qualms with adding him. And also, he's someone to watch just because he's really fun to watch, too.
Yeah.
You know, I unfortunately cursed his match with Dante Leon earlier this year, talking about how dope it was going to be. But, like, yeah, I think otherwise his matches are really, really entertaining. Definitely somebody to watch.
Do you have anyone else on the list?
He's kind of been... I'm like, I don't know how to say this. Like, he's been around for a while, but I do think that he's starting to... I think he could take some of the majors, is Isaac Doderlin. Like, he's come real fucking close to toppling basically the best.
Yeah, his wars with Meow and like he's looked really, really good in UAGGF.
I just feel like, yeah, he's just like, you know, he's just inches.
It's like that step of like any day that he could like flip and like take that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like in that short format. I think he does really, really well because
Yeah.
he seems to have a gas tank to just like crush through at like 6 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anyone else too that I would say definitely check out.
It's just like a guy that are the grapplers to watch. It's like
I was going to say somebody to watch is Anderson Muniz, the guy who was just at Spider. And
Yeah.
he drew Hodolfo that first round.
Yep.
He put Hodolfo in some danger for, like the first couple minutes.
Yeah, for a
Like
while.
he had a lot
actually.
of sweep attempts. I think he might have swept him at one point.
I
They were
think he
going
was
kind of off the
winning. I
mat.
think he was winning at one point in that match.
Yeah, it was like a quick 2 where he swept him, I think, and they were heading kind of off the mat, and then reset him and gave him the 2. But I mean, it was a legit sweep, and it's against freaking Rodolfo Vieira. Like,
Right.
that's pretty impressive. And I think he just got brown.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he
I
just got brown belt. Like he
I
won
remember
purple belt
guys-
worlds,
yeah.
and he just got awarded brown. And so I think it's definitely a guy you can watch going into the future, not just 2020.
Word.
I think another guy to watch is Roberto Jimenez.
Of course.
We saw him just get black belt. We saw him win the absolute at Nogi Worlds. Again, he's like we've been watching him for a little bit, but I think in 2020, him going into black belt, I forecast him to do some pretty exciting things. And on the other side, Pedro Mourinho.
Yeah.
Another guy to probably keep an eye on. We saw him. He's the last guy to beat Jimenez at brown belt at weight class. He subbed him. I know he subbed points. It was a points victory. So it's like both those guys we've seen on super fights. We've seen featured more prominent on things like Third Coast and stuff. But I feel like we're going to see them popping up, and if not black belt, we're going to see them on more super fights this year, and they're going to be real forces to kind of like take. They're going to take a couple big brackets in super fights. I have a feeling
For sure.
Yeah, I think those are pretty good.
So that does it for me. Do we have any other items we want to talk about? There's a bunch of other lists. There's like BJJ Heroes has some stuff out, and basically everyone is putting out their top matches of the year. Is there any other items for like, oh, we didn't do it. What are your, what is jiu-jitsu wise, what is your like top moment and your low moment of the year? Like, what are your best moment and your worst moment of the year?
For me,
I usually count at the beginning of the show. I forgot this year.
yeah, no, my worst was just the sheer time I took off the mats. You know, it was something like 9 or 10 months or something. It's a long time.
Yeah,
really long time.
I remember you told me you were training, and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no,
I was super excited for you.
yeah. But highlight, man,
highlight and lowlights we call it. Highlight of the year and the lowlight of the year.
a highlight is gonna be absolutely when it's hard to pick a single interview from ADCC, but getting to interview Kainan was really fucking great. getting to interview Bernardo Faria was really great. Like, it was awesome to sit there and just, be able to talk to these people and pick their brains about the fucking sport that we all know and love. So yeah, those are both really awesome.
What you got for highlight and lowlight, Austin?
Highlight personally, well, starting the show is pretty awesome. Being on the podcast regularly is pretty awesome.
It's awesome to have. It's awesome to have you.
Yeah.
You bring
Absolutely.
some additional flavor that like Emil and I don't have. So it's like it's really cool.
Just nerd stuff. It's like, yeah, when he grabbed this really weird grip, talking about some crazy amount of trivia.
Yeah, but I love that though, because that's why we do the show, and I'm too ADD to follow a lot of that stuff. It's like, I'm just super excited about the match, and you come on like, here's why I'm excited, because this is a weird grip, and you saw that, and then X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh, that is what happened, Austin.
Yeah, I'm just a dork.
This is amazing.
So maybe that, and then this is the tail end of purple belt for me this year, so getting brown belt, definitely some highlights. Lowlights, getting murked at brown belt for sure. Like it's a new game. I'm trying to get used to the leg locks at like the expert level.
Did you get murked by someone?
I didn't get murked, but any loss to me is getting murked. I don't like losing. Not that I'm that high level. I'm definitely a hobbyist. Nobody, but just losing in general. I don't know. That's kind of how it always is. You're the big fish in a small pond until you're not anymore. You get belt promoted, then you got to get used to the level of the next belt, which I'm excited to do, but lowlights for sure, taking tournament losses.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. Still a pretty good life to be able to spend hundreds of dollars on tournaments.
What about you, man?
Highlight and lowlight?
Mm-hmm.
Lowlight was, I think my back's broken. Like, that was like, oh shit, I actually have like a legit, like, I'm very injured, and I have to like take some serious time off, and then kind of being in pain for like the whole year kind of sucked. It's getting better now, but it's just like, it was kind of 2019 sucked a bag of dicks. It was a shit year for
training.
For training and just like not being in pain.
Yeah.
It was a really bad year for that. Like, highlight of the year was definitely like getting credentialed at ADCC.
Yeah.
Because that was a level of like, kind
Access that we've...
It was also a level of like professional validation for what we do here. They're like, hey, we actually produce good content. We are legitimately interested in, like, we showed an organization that is big that, hey, we can, like, we're going to come and we're going to do legitimate good reporting at your event. And like as an independent agency for what we do, like, it's us. There's no like parent company backing us. There's no like, it's just the work that everyone on our team puts in. And it was a huge sort of validating thing that in about 2 years of doing this, we could go and ask and request credentialed access to that event and like go and get that. Because there's a lot of venues, a lot of organizations I know that weren't able to get that. So it was hugely validating me professionally to get that access. And then take that access and then turn it into all the stuff that we did turn it into, and like all the interviews that we did, all the people that we spoke to, and basically all of the content we were able to bring to the Grappling Rewind. And I think professionally that was definitely my BJJ highlight for the year, was just the amount of great content that we put out this year, and like cool interviews, and we expanded into doing like a video show this year, and like just how much the show has grown, and the level of content that we've all like put in, and how much better all of us have gotten at like doing the show and doing analysis and taking notes. And it's just been a really great year for the Grappling Rewind.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. And come to think of it, have you talked about the interviews that you did at Third Coast?
A little bit. We talked about it, I think, a little bit like on the week after Third Coast. Like, those are going up on the BJJ Fanatics YouTube page now, which is really cool.
That's a big deal. So that's we'll call it a budding relationship.
Yeah. We're now working with BJJ Fanatics to do some live events coverage and some other work with them. And it's just really cool to, work with an organization that's much, much larger than us to put out and help put out good content under their platform and work with them. And that's just like, it's just a really cool thing to be able to do as like a hobbyist jiu-jitsu practitioner that's really into the professional side of it. And so you'll probably see a lot more interviews from us over there, and maybe some written stuff from us over there on their blog. Just really exciting to be able to do more and like participate more in the pro scene of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Josh's highlight and lowlight.
Josh's
After
lowlight
this really
is my
great
highlight.
moment we had.
Oh my god!
So Josh's highlight and lowlight of the year,
going viral, baby.
Going viral was him getting choked out from the guard. He was supposed to be here. I'm actually really upset. He had to work, and he wasn't able to make it here. So I would really been cool to have actually 4 of us on the mic. I think that was the first time we've ever had 4 people on actual mics. And then last minute he was like, I can't make it. I was like, ah. Oh. So to talk about his highlight, getting choked out, it was his highlight and his low light. I was like, Josh, what's your highlight? He goes, highlight, getting choked out from the guard. Low light, choked out from the guard. I'm like, all right, Josh. So he had a BJJ Times article written about him, and he went viral with the most Brazilian tap of all time, and then getting put unconscious.
Yep. Yeah, it was hilarious. Nogi match. Josh has this other guy in guard. He does Nogi Ezekiel?
I think it's an arm triangle.
Head and arm.
Oh, arm triangle.
He basically snatched him down at the head and arm.
Yeah, that's part of the danger of going against like really big dudes.
Yep.
It's like, this choke won't work. It's like, it will if you're 300 pounds or however big that dude is.
Yeah. Yep.
So, what else you guys got? I think that pretty much does it for the show. Like highlights and lowlights are kind of the last thing we do for the year. Technically, we have one more show this year in true Grappling Rewind fashion. I didn't read the calendar right, so we're doing this show basically like a week early. Technically, we do the show after the last event has run for the year. So SUG was the last event for 2019, so we do our recap show after that. But we got another week next week. We're gonna do some cool stuff I got planned. I'm excited for. But what do you guys got going on? Like, it's the holiday season. Anything cool coming up?
Nothing. Nobody's getting shit from Austin.
I'm just excited for I don't know, yeah, like taking this kind of jiu-jitsu journalism into a little bit different direction, doing more writing, doing more data analysis, getting that up and running.
You got something cool you're working on for data analysis. Emil has hit us with the Python or whatever magical computer science that you're doing.
Yeah.
And you were showing us some statistical analysis and stuff you're doing today that I got like giddy about because I love
really
it,
cool.
but have no ability to do it. And so we're gonna hopefully bring you some more like actual data, so that when Josh or I or Austin talk out of our ass for who we think will win a tournament, Emil's going to hit us with the knowledge and go, look, he's beat him 6 times out of 7. He probably is going to take it. I'm like, oh yeah, he has beat him that many times at black belt. So we're working on.
Awesome.
Emil is working on some really cool like stuff to bring us up to the next level of not just like
talking out of our ass
and guessing at matches, but actually like this is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. It'll be good. It'll be really fun.
You guys got anything fun this week? I think we got Christmas Eve tomorrow. The governor was nice enough to give me the day off.
Yeah.
And then we got Christmas, and then the rest of the week is basically a wash because like no one's gonna want to deal with me on Thursday and Friday this week. So
yeah,
it's basically a vacation. So I'm gonna train a bunch.
Sweet,
hey, man.
Get into it, baby.
You guys going any place or doing anything fun?
Going home. Going to Massachusetts.
Nice. When you leaving?
Tomorrow.
That's gonna be terrible traffic.
Yeah, it's gonna be garbage.
Didn't we just do this? Didn't you just do this, Emil?
Yeah, I'm doing it again, baby. Let's fucking
leave at night. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Leave at night. Drive through the night. It's a way easier trip. Having done this trip like 3 to 4 times a year for the past like 5 years.
Yeah.
You going anywhere?
No, sir. Snuggling my dog, watching Star Wars stuff. Nobody messaged me.
Hey, Austin, you see this match? Like, no. I'm dead to you, Maine.
No, I'll be watching matches, but nobody else messaged me.
It's reasonable.
Yeah,
I'm just going to train a bunch. It's going to be awesome.
I'll be there.
Sweet. You guys, anything else?
That's it, man.
All right. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine. We're joined by co-hosts.
Austin.
And
Emil.
And we are the Grappling Rewind. See you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.